Hi there, welcome to the latest news on the Slater case. Whilst he's no longer missing because his body was found, the money situation is still active on GoFundMe. In terms of the total accumulative amount at this moment in time, it's eye-watering and it will be revealed today if you stick around. New articles have come out recently to do with the family, more so the mother, reaching out to the general public, asking for more money. And the question is, how much is enough and how was it spent? Money spent well, money spent in the correct areas or not? Because for some time during the beginning up to kind of recently, where did money go? Because it was used. Supposedly some of it for accommodation, others to do with flying family or other friends out to the place. How much was that in total? And then money spent on the Dutch specialised team that didn't really have much of an opportunity to really do anything because by the time they arrived, supposedly Jay was already found. So where did the money really go there? How much was it? What was it really spent on? For help, even though it didn't lead to help because other people found the body instead. You know, like money management, where does it lie within this case? And at the end of the day, people can argue and say, so what? People can do whatever they want with their money. They can vote with their wallets. Yeah, the general public can. But in terms of the people that are asking and reaching out for money in the first place, is the total full transparency. And could you give a counterpoint just in general and say, is there a level of greed, right? Because the original target was £30,000. That's more than enough. In terms of recent time, it's gone up a lot more and it probably will continue rising. So with that being said, let's get into this latest article to see the total figure, to also look at what the mother has had to say in addition. This is by Sky News. The title, Jay Slater's fundraiser page hit £70,000 after his mum appeals for funeral donations. Now, in terms of the last video that I did about this case, I did make a prediction. My prediction came true, just like how it normally does. If you want further documentation of that, you'd have to look back to the Dylan Rounds case videos that I did. Just about everything that I predicted ended up happening. I made one simple prediction in this case, and it's already happened. And what it basically was to do with the GoFundMe money, such as, you know, on the basis that maybe certain funds are low or they're going down, that's probably going to be the time when family members or whoever reaches out and says, can we have a bit more money? Can we have more money? Like that. And then everybody nods their heads. I mean, money management. So first of all, with this case, depending, you know, what situation you are in life, if you're not well off, you know, you do need help. I understand that. As long as it's being used in the right areas, that's what matters. But was it ever really used correctly? You know, it seems like the first reaction was, right, we'll spend money for friends and family members to come on over, pay for accommodation there. What about the locals? What about search groups? What about non-profit organisations? What about volunteers, which then could be passed on to a charity? Did any of that happen? No. I'm just basing this off from all of the cases that I've looked at, or at least most of them, what I've looked at. Either they've had GoFundMe or not at all, but they've had other fundraisers in between or later in which proceeds went towards a particular charity or went towards a particular group of people or even a private investigator. The receipts were backed up. It was very clear. It was very strict, very official. But in this case, it seems to be all about Jay, all about the family. But in terms of everyone else, you know, I mean, you had the TikTokers claiming previously he wasn't getting paid at all, but supposedly money was exchanged there to help him to keep on searching. It's a bit of a messy situation. See, this is the thing. The one key factor is because Jay was found dead, you got to allow a form of leniency there because it will be tough on people at this moment in time, of course, and it can be like that for anyone, but not everyone has the opportunity to get £70,000 to be able to afford cost here and there, right? Because there'll be many other people out there that might think, and the odd few that may attempt a GoFundMe, but they don't always work out, right? It is a popularity contest. It is luck of the lottery. Just because everyone could create a GoFundMe doesn't mean it will work for everyone. It just so happens that the Jay Slater case was, and probably still is to an extent, a very popular case. You know, it grabbed the nation's attention and even worldwide to an extent. A lot of people got interested. Big channels covered it as well, popularized it, TikTok as well. So because of Jay Slater's case being popular, that's the only reason why so much money has been raised on the GoFundMe. Because if this was like any other missing person case, which wasn't as popular, there wouldn't be as much attention or eyes on the case, and there wouldn't be as many people donating. So it is kind of a lucky situation that it just happened that this particular case got popular. Because there's many other missing people out there, just as important as Jay Slater, if you want to call it like that, but they don't get acknowledged or they don't receive the same level of attention. You know, it's a hard balancing act. It's like if I cover cases to spread awareness of them, for most part of it, I've participated and covered cases which were either very quiet or went dead. And I single-handedly kept the cases alive. I thought I'd just add that in as a fact, just because people could respond back and say, well, you're covering this case and this case is supposedly popular, so what are you doing? Well, you know, for most part of it, I've been carrying cases on my back on certain social media platforms because no one else did. And anyone that was supposed to be ended up jumping ship and moving on to the latest, hottest trend. Says a lot, doesn't it? But to cover the odd higher profile case like this, here and there, that's what I do, just to compare and contrast, right? But, you know, it's quite eye-watering when you think of the amount, right? It shows obviously there's a lot of support out there, and there's a lot of people that care about Jay Slater or the family, but what does the rest of the community or, you know, people out there think about it? Jay Slater's mum issued an appeal for help towards funeral cost, prompting a flurry of donations, as we've seen. Fundraising page set up Jay Slater went missing has been boosted by over 10k, just like that, after the teenager's mother appealed for more donations. With the total sitting at 59,000 on Thursday, Debbie Duncan asked people to continue to share and support our fundraiser however you can. We want to give our boy the send-off he deserves, she said in a statement on GoFundMe. But that's the thing, there'll be many other people out there in this world that deserve a proper send-off as well, if not more. And did they get a £70,000 free handout? No. And why? Well, it's just because their situations aren't popularised, aren't covered online the same way, don't get the same level of attention. That's what it's down to. It's a popularity contest. So yeah, the Get Jay Slater Home fundraiser was set up soon after he disappeared to help contribute to the family's travel and accommodation expenses whilst they stayed on the island to look for him. Do you notice how that's the first priority? Pay for family, pay for travel, pay for accommodation, pay for a indirect holiday, because it's not exactly a holiday, it's a nightmare, but you're still going abroad, you're still seeing new scenery, or, you know, getting a break from normal day-to-day life, even though it's not exactly the best outcome. As I said, give and take, positives and negatives, but interesting how that's the first mentality. What about pay for private investigator? What about pay for a specialised group? Why do it so late on? 3-4 weeks later, oh, we'll pay for some specialised Dutch team. Well, why wasn't that done like right at the start? I mean, will it ever get to a point in the Jay Slater case where after the funeral, after the cost for that and bringing him back home and all that money raised and put into it, and then once it's almost low or there's no more funds left, are they going to say, can you please donate more to the GoFundMe for in the future, long term, like the Jay Slater cause or something, you know, and they get campaigns and things set up to then help other people out there down the line? Or will it just die out and go quiet just like that? Or will there be somehow more appeals for more money for other things in the case? Oh, can you pay me to get back home? Can you pay me to do this? Can you pay me to do that? I mean, how much longer will it go on for? And how much money will be raised? I said, people can do what they like with their money, but could you say there's a level of greed? Or could you say there's a level of opportunity in which, whilst there has been a bad event, of course, and you can't, you know, brush that aside, that when it comes to the GoFundMe, you don't fix what's not broken. If it's not broken, it doesn't need fixing. And, you know, would the GoFundMe be considered some kind of loophole because it just keeps going up and up and up? I mean, will it get to 100k? Will it get to 200k? Will it get to 500,000? I mean, for as long as it remains open, it could. There's the GoFundMe. So we might not even have to go on the GoFundMe because it literally shows a screenshot there. £70,000. And that was like a day or two ago, I think. But I did check the GoFundMe before doing this video, and it's actually at £71,000, and it still keeps going up. So that's a lot. What else? In a most recent statement, Ms. Duncan said the remaining funds and any future donations will be used to pay for repatriating her son's body and paying for the funeral. But what happens after all that? Does the GoFundMe remain open forever? When does it actually close? And if after all that any more money is given on that GoFundMe, where would that money go then? Would it be pocketed? Would it be sent to a non-profit organisation? Would it be given back to the people that helped, and more so the locals or anyone out there that tried searching? Will it go anywhere or not? That's a question. Earlier this week, officials in Tenerife confirmed the body. Yeah, there we go. We've seen that before. Multiple injuries, fallen from a cliff. People aren't satisfied with that being accidental, but there's more to it. But the family, they're moving forwards, like they accept the cause of death. It is what it is. It's very unfortunate. Then it gives the backstory there. Lucy Law being the one that originally created the GoFundMe and set the target to £30,000. Interesting how £30,000 was the exact target. As for what that exactly entailed for total cost of everything, it don't really matter. It's doubled, if not more, since. Anything else? That's pretty much it. Now, there's some key details which aren't included on here, but we'll need to get to that shortly. If I just click there, you can see the GoFundMe. It's at 71,000, 5.7k donations, Lucy May organising it. And then you got this one here. There we go. So for the missing details, which were mentioned on another article, it seems to be mentioned here, quoted by Debbie Duncan, the mother. She says, "Hello everyone, thank you for all the kindness, support, condolences, and a lot of tragic news. Jay's body was found, overwhelmed with grief. The wonderful team, the Dutch specialised team from the Netherlands, Signe Zorkoden, have remained in Spain all week and have continued to support us as a family since Jay was found. They're due to fly home in the coming days, so we're appreciative of their dedication and support." So, you're telling me that you paid a certain amount of money, which hasn't been explained publicly. You paid a certain amount of money for a specialised team to be flown over to Tenerife in order to search for Jay, but by the time they got there, Jay was already found by authorities or locals. So what did that specialised team do then? If they're specialised in searching for people and bodies and they've got dogs as well, in the end, they simply stayed in Spain like a free holiday and supported the family. What, like therapy sessions, holding their hands? Not exactly money well spent, is it? But granted, it wasn't planned that, it's just unfortunate timing. You pay for a service, you pay for help, and in the process of it pending or them coming over to help, it's already solved in the background. It's like, oh. Now, it's not a complete waste of money because whatever number it was, amount given to that Dutch team, because they specialise in searching for people, that money can go into future searches elsewhere and equipment and things like that. So it still went to a good cause, but in terms of the original aims of using funds for people in order to find their son, well, didn't exactly work out. It's just timing, just poor timing. Not much can be done about it. But to say that the specialised team remained in Spain all week to support the family, is that just talking to them and like counselling and things like that? Are they qualified for that? I don't know how it's very vague here. And to say that, okay, body's been found, really sad, but, we'll continue to stay in Spain for another week. And then the other people can join us, the Dutch team, need to make money well spent and make it worthwhile. No point paying them to come on over and then to fly back. That'd be a waste of money. They might as well stay here for a little bit and take in the sun. That's how it could be interpreted. That's what I'm saying. Okay. It says, we would like to thank the LBT Global for their support during the impossible time. We're working with agencies to arrange Jay's repatriation, can't even get to say the word, fuck that, to the UK, and the remaining funds, along with any future donations, will be used to help with, if needed, and to pay for Jay's funeral cost back home. So it implies here that they've got more than enough money in terms of arranging Jay being brought back to the UK with the remaining funds. Implies the remaining funds should be enough for bringing the body back. Right. And then they say, along with any future donations that can be used if needed. If needed. So it's not needed at this moment in time, but you're still asking for money. Well, that sounds dodgy. The bit about, though, paying for the funeral cost, I mean, if they're just, grieving and they've not got to the funeral situation yet, but they're already asking for money, have they already worked out how much the funeral will cost or something? It's just dodgy wording and language, this, to say that with the remaining funds, we're going to use it towards the repatriation, but then if there's any future money that comes on in, and it just so happens that £10,000 came in just recently, or more so 11,000, well, if it's needed, if that 10k which we've been given just like that, if it's really needed, then, we'll use it in the future. We'll use it for the funeral. I mean, I don't know how much funerals cost, but one thing that I do know is there'll be a lot of people, maybe every second in this world or every day, that will be having a funeral for someone or something, and the cost do vary depending where you are and what country you're in, but everyone makes do with what they have and what they can do, even if it's not a lot. Not everybody jumps to GoFundMe and ask for free handouts. It just happens that in this case it worked, but I can understand the initial thing behind it. If you're not well off or you are struggling and someone is missing, someone you love, and they're so far away in a different country, you could feel helpless. So GoFundMe can really help people in struggling situations and times, and like with medical bills, medical conditions, diseases. And then at the end of the day, it's the general public that decide. That's the deciding factor, who vote with the wallet. You can't be telling people what to do with their money, because that could be considered an insult, of course. As long as there's always transparency in terms of where that money goes or how it's used, especially when you're, appealing for help, I mean, then it should be okay. But I guess with the case being solved in recent time, it's like, well, isn't that it? I mean, at least with the cases that I've looked at and covered, when it's come to money or certain fundraisers, it's come in little bursts and certain amounts have been raised, nowhere near the amounts as here, right? I mean, like the Noah Presgrove case, there is a GoFundMe, which is in which any money raised on the GoFundMe will go into the reward money for anyone that reaches out with information which leads to a conviction as to who's responsible for the death of Noah Presgrove. So it's clearly outlined there, and it's actually set up by the brother of Noah Presgrove, so a key family member, of course. But to begin with, the family did put out nearly £10,000 in reward money. Well, it was in dollars because of the US, $10,000, which is a fair amount to begin with, right? And obviously, as in a situation, they might not have all the money in the world to be able to just put out there for reward money, so you understand that. And then a GoFundMe comes after that to raise any more funds, which then will go into that reward money. So it's like a full circle. It makes sense. There was an effort made by the family, the brother, reward money, then a GoFundMe to help bump it up a bit or so. So yeah, that makes sense. In terms of the Dylan Rounds case, fundraiser for non-profit organisation K9 Team, money goes into like a live event, meetup, proceeds or merch online. People buy it to support and honour Dylan Rounds, and then that money then goes back into a charity or a group of people. Then it's backed up afterwards with receipts, updates from those groups, deployments of dogs, success, news, breaking news, things like that. It was really clear, it was really strict, and it was transparent. In terms of the Jay Slater case, the events have gone as in missing person. We need money. We need £30,000 just like that. As to what exactly it will be spent on, well, first of all, accommodation a flight out there, friends, family members, bring all them over. And then we'll actually spend money on the key important people that could actually help solve the case. How much? Don't know, wasn't disclosed. Then, 4 weeks later or so, then we'll get the Dutch team to come on in a certain amount. But Jay's already been found by them. Oh well, they can just stay here for a week or so and help us. Oh, and now we need money for the funeral, but we don't really need it because with the remaining funds, we can probably bring him back. But if we need any more money, we'll ask now and then we'll use it later. I don't know, it just... it's probably rude to say greedy, but I wouldn't be surprised if people out there said it was greedy, asking for more and more money. You know, how much is enough, really? Is that recent donations? Natalie Galetkinova, £1,500. That's quite a lot. And then there's more as well, 2 hours ago. I said this is all public information. If anyone does get the pants and a twist, their names are here. It's all publicly viewable. You do have the option to do anonymous donations as well. But you just get the idea of the level of activity, right? It's very likely that this video will trigger a handful of people out there, more so strangers that don't know about my channel, have never seen me before. And there's a fair chance that most of the triggered people are probably from the UK. But for those that aren't triggered, that have watched, whichever country you come from, I appreciate it and your patience. This is just yet another observation based off a prediction which I initiated beforehand, and it came true yet again, like with the other ones that I've done, right? The final question which I have is, let's say Jay's brought back home properly, funeral done properly, is that it, case closed? Or is there going to be more money asked later for a Jay Slater Foundation, a new charity? Is there going to be money asked for merch to support his name with a face on his shirt or the writing across? Is there going to be more money asked in the future to say that, you know, we want an inquiry, we want to have it like an investigation looked into the cause of death of Jay Slater, because after we've grieved and come to realisation that he wouldn't have just fallen off a cliff and he wouldn't have just gone through CATSs, there must be more to it. We need an inquiry. We want a follow-up into that, but we need the money. We need the cost to be able to afford it all. Will any of that happen? Anything's possible at this point in time. Do you think that the GoFundMe will reach 100k? Or will it be closed by then? Time will tell. But that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.